Today, on the Vince Everett Ellison Show, they've been talking a lot about this Epstein thing and Donald Trump. I'm going to clarify this for you and tell you what's really going on. We're going to talk about the Epstein files and Donald Trump today on the Vince Everett Ellison Show. This thing started. I've told y'all 1,000 times. How do you know when a Democrat is lying? His lips are moving. All right? Keep that in mind now when we start talking about this Epstein situation. Just a review, just in case you guys have forgotten, Jeffrey Epstein was a billionaire and Jeffrey Epstein is a pedophile. Jeffrey Epstein had this thing with young girls. He would take them to Epstein Island, and he would do naughty things with them. The word around the campfire was he would bring his friends out there to Epstein Island. This guy's rich enough to have his own island with mansions and stuff on it. And they go out there and they party. A lot of prominent people ended up on Epstein Island. A lot of prominent people. Well, somebody blew a whistle on Jeffrey Epstein, told everybody Jeffrey Epstein had a bunch of underage girls out there on the island, and he was sex trafficking them. Well, the FBI investigated, and sure enough, they found it was true. Jeffrey Epstein ends up in jail. People believe Jeffrey Epstein's getting ready to drop down on a whole lot of people. Jeffrey Epstein ends up dead, hung in his own cell. A lot of people think that it happened because Jeffrey Epstein was going to drop down on a whole lot of powerful people. Hasn't been proven. So they're investigating Jeffrey Epstein and all these powerful people. Nobody goes to jail behind Epstein's dying and committing suicide. None of these powerful people are put in jail or have to face any charges or face anything except Prince Andrew over in Great Britain. They've stripped him of everything, as you know. This young lady by the name of Virginia Dufresne, poor child, I thought she was okay. She had gotten some money from Jeffrey Epstein. She had gotten married. She had had children. And she committed suicide. Real sad. She has a book out about her experiences. I haven't read it, so I can't tell you anything much about it. I think it talks mostly about Prince Andrew because nobody else has gone to jail or gotten in any real trouble that I know of. But Epstein has a lot of victims, and I think the victims are sharing in some of his money. They've sued his estate and they're getting paid, but they also want the investigation, the files from the investigation to come out to tell everybody what was going on. These victims, I do not think has seen the files. I don't know exactly who has seen the files. I know the FBI and the Justice Department has the files. I don't know how many people in the Congress or in the Senate has seen them. But politicians ran on saying that they were going to release these files so that the public could view them. Donald Trump said he would release them. I believe other politicians said that they would vote to have the files released. Okay. Now, all of a sudden, the files are being released. Stop for a moment. The question becomes, right now, Joe Biden was in the White House for 4 years. Trump has been in now for maybe a year. Why are they releasing the Epstein files now? That's the question. To me, that's the only question. It's not that they should be released or that they ought not be released. None of that's relevant to me. The question to me right now is why are they being released now? If there was something that could put someone in jail behind these files, they'd be in jail. It's just that simple. The Justice Department has them. They've investigated it. They said there's nothing to see here. Why are they releasing the files now? Why didn't Joe Biden release them if they were going to hurt Donald Trump? Why? Well, I can tell you why they're being released right now. You know why? The Democrats are holding these files until they needed them as a distraction to distract the American people from some crap that either happened to them or they were getting ready to do. What has happened to the Democrats? They just got their asses whooped in this shutdown. I mean, just stone cold beat down. I think the worst whooping I ever saw in boxing was when Mike Tyson beat Marvis Frazier. Tyson just came out the corner, just knocked Marvis Frazier out in like about 20 seconds.
Scoring on the round system, supplemental 4-point scoring system if the rounds wind up even, and the 3 knockdown rule is in effect. Tyson comes out slugging.
He comes out smoking like Marvis's father, Joe. Marvis must move or we're going to be out of here very, very quickly. Uppercut, and Marvis is hurt.
Frazier is down. Joe Cortez moves in to have a look, and he's going to stop the fight. It did not last 20 seconds. Tyson goes over to take a look at Marvis Frazier, obviously quite concerned. A terrific uppercut. The same punch with which Tyson knocked out Jesse Ferguson the first time you saw him here on ABC Sports.
Watch the uppercut, the right uppercut.
That's how bad the Democrats got beat in this shutdown. A Mike Tyson-Marvis Frazier fight. And so the midterms are coming up, and everybody mad at their base is just livid at them. Because the Democrats promised that they were going to give these Obamacare subsidies to everybody. Everybody's going to get free money from the government. They're just going to make, the Republicans give them everything they wanted, and they didn't. Plus, they shut down the government for 40-something days. People having to sleep in airports. People SNAP benefits. It caused a whole lot of anxiety around the country. Whole lot of it. And then they got nothing out of it. It's like Donald Trump just stared them down. And now they're embarrassed and they need a distraction. So what do we do now, man? What do we do now? Well, we got to bring out the Epstein files. We got to bring out the Epstein files. There are a lot of reasons why, from what I've heard, they don't want these files out. One of the most interesting ones, and I don't know this to be true, y'all. I don't know this to be true. I'm just going to tell you what I've heard. It makes kind of sense to me, too, knowing the type of guy that Epstein was. Epstein wasn't the type of guy that was just doing this type of thing for no reason. Epstein got rich in a lot of weird ways, but a lot of people say that Epstein was working for the Mossad. That's the Israeli Secret Service. The Mossad is the best secret service or spy agency in the world. They say it's the CIA. No, it's Mossad. These cats be finding out stuff. You remember that time when, about 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, it was having this war with these Palestinians and all these terrorists and whatnot. Mossad found out these terrorists would not use cell phones, because they were tracking them by the cell phones. So Mossad went to old tech and started using pagers. Not Mossad, I'm sorry. The terrorists started using old tech and started using pagers. So Mossad found out where the pagers were coming from. And then they got the pagers before they got to the terrorists, and they put bombs in the pagers and didn't tell the terrorists nothing about it. Just like I said, all the terrorists walking around with pagers, they thought they was balling. And then one day before the terrorists made this attack, they just blow them all up. Blowing their hips out, killing them. It's one of the coolest covert attacks in the history of the world. They had them on film, this terrorists getting blown up all over the Middle East at the same time. One button, poof! That's Mossad.
The unprecedented attack in the Middle East. Thousands of pagers belonging to members of Hezbollah exploded across the country, injuring thousands of people.
New York Times is reporting Israel hid explosives in those pagers and then triggered the explosion simultaneously. This morning, schools across Lebanon are closed after an unprecedented attack involving thousands of pagers held by Hezbollah militants that exploded simultaneously.
These were not lithium-ion batteries cooking off. These were explosives.
Thousands of devices detonated in Lebanon after receiving a message yesterday, killing at least 9 people and injuring almost 3,000. Hezbollah saying as many as 11 of its members were killed. Devices blew up in hands, pockets, and here in a shopping bag. Security video shows a man reaching for his pocket before it explodes. Israel has not claimed responsibility, but a source says Israel was working to perfect what it called a supply chain interdiction attack. Former State Department official Steve Ganyard explains how it may have worked.
The Israelis likely saw an opportunity, bought up thousands of pagers, took them apart, inserted explosives, and then put them back on the market to sell directly to Hezbollah. And then using the radio frequencies that normally bring data into that pager, they simultaneously detonated all of the pagers.
Lebanon's Council of Ministers called the attack criminal Israeli aggression on a sovereign country, and Hezbollah warns a response is coming.
U.S. officials believe there will be a response by Hezbollah, but it may take some time. Hezbollah has not only lost a principal way it communicates, but had operatives killed and hundreds, if not thousands, of wounded operatives put out of commission for weeks, if not months to come.
A company in Taiwan says the pagers were made in Budapest. The New York Times saying each one contained 1 to 2 ounces of explosive material. Back in February, Hezbollah fighters shifted away from using cell phones due to security concerns.
They've been told by the head of Hezbollah that the Israelis are probably using those cell phones to track their whereabouts, so that they think that they take a lower tech solution to protect themselves, when what they really did was create a vulnerability that it seems the Israelis have exploited.
And just in the newsroom, death toll rising to at least 12, according to Lebanon's health ministry. U.S. officials say they had no involvement and no warning about the attack. Observers say the attack will prompt many militaries around the world to look into replicating this technology.
And Mossad has this way of compromising people. Back in the old days in spycraft, they called it honeypots. What's a honeypot? Very simply, they take a man who's basically a married man. They get him with women, and they film it. Easiest way in the world to blackmail somebody. And then if you want something from that person, they don't want to do it. They just send you a film of you getting down with this prostitute or this woman and say, I know you don't want this sent to your wife, to your children, or sent to the press. And you give them what they want. They say that's what Jeffrey Epstein was doing. Jeffrey Epstein was using Epstein Island as a honeypot trap to trap very, 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 very powerful men and put them in a position where they had to do what Israel wanted. And this is how Israel always gets what they want from the United States of America. It's how they've always almost made America a proxy state for them. So a lot of people are nervous now. So there's a guy by the name of Larry Summers. Larry Summers is bigwig, man. Larry Summers was president of Harvard University. And then he became Treasury Secretary. So yeah, he real big. He got caught up. They released some of the text emails, and it's him talking to Jeffrey Epstein about things. Now he stepped back. They said Bill Clinton. Jeffrey Epstein has a portrait of Bill Clinton in his townhouse in the blue Monica Lewinsky dress with heels on. That's some weird stuff right there. And you know, Bill, you know, Slick Willie was known to do some nefarious, ignorant stuff. So, and they said he was on Jeffrey Epstein's plane a lot of times. If Bill Clinton was on the plane, they don't tell him what's going on. And then there's Donald Trump. Let me tell y'all something to look for. Epstein has a lot of text messages or emails calling Donald Trump by name. This is what you need to understand and see. The emails and text messages by themselves mean nothing. You start the investigation there. For instance, you can find in the Epstein files, Vince Everett Ellison on Epstein Island with 15-year-old girls. You can have that in the Epstein files. What will that do? That will get the FBI to go and find the 15-year-old girl that they said I was with. And then they're going to ask the child, hey, was Vince Ellison with you? No, he wasn't. Well, so-and-so in these Epstein files says he was. But so-and-so lying. Investigation ends right there. If they want to continue it, they'll go and look at their bank accounts to see if they've had any influx of money, like $50,000 from Vince Everett Ellison to this woman. They'll know then I bribed her. Then they ask more questions. But if she just comes out and says, no, that's a lie, and they can't find why I bribed her, investigation is over. That's where a lot of this went. Epstein could say what he wanted to say in these emails and these text messages. If the FBI said, yes, we saw the text messages, yes, and we followed them up, and yes, the person that Epstein was talking about said, no, this didn't happen, that's it. And that's all these text messages are going to show. This is why many people don't want them out, because they're going to lead to a dead end, but their name is going to be tarnished in the interim. See, even if I didn't mess with a 15-year-old girl, hell, I wouldn't want nobody sending a text message out just saying I did. So I'd be telling the FBI, hey, man, y'all check this out, right? Yeah, well, you see it was false, right? Well, yeah, Vince, but we still going to have to release them to the public. I said, man, don't do that. Well, you know, they voted to release the files. Man, Epstein lied on me. Now everybody's going to read it. And I got to look my children in the eye based on this lie. That's part of the reasons why people don't want these things released. Does that make any sense to anybody? You cleared up the charge. Somebody lied on you. Now you're going to put it out there, and now, you know, everybody that you know is going to be looking at you like you're some type of pervert. So no one's been arrested behind these things, y'all. And people don't want their names out there besmirched because of something that Jeffrey Epstein said, or because they just happen to be on Epstein Island. And they're saying, man, please don't release this stuff. That's part of the reason why they don't want it out there. And I'm telling you this, y'all. I'm telling you. If Joe Biden had anything on Donald Trump in those Epstein files, anything, that sucker would release them files so fast it would have made your head spin. He would have been on TV doing a presidential address to the nation, telling them about Donald Trump and the Epstein file. It would have been like, oh, Watergate wouldn't have been nothing compared to this. So what does that tell you? There's nothing to it. Now, I heard something else that I don't know this to be true. Something else they're saying that they don't want to come out in these Epstein files is this. They said that Donald Trump might have been the whistleblower that got the whole FBI thing started on Epstein. I don't know. Because, you know, they said that Donald Trump had gone there, and that Trump might have come back and told the FBI, hey, man, y'all need to go out there and check out this Epstein dude. He's got some nefarious activities down on that island, and it's not cool. I don't know this to be true. That's what I'm hearing. So I don't know what's going to come out in these files. I don't know how much is going to come out. I don't know how much is going to be redacted. I do hope this is the end of it. I do hope that these young ladies who've been afflicted and affected by Jeffrey Epstein can go ahead on and live their lives and put this terrible tragedy behind them. If not, it's going to destroy them like it did that sweet child, Virginia Dufresne, who just, she seemed to not to be able to get from up under it. I remember the morning I read about her suicide in the paper. I saw her picture, and I just kind of said, oh, what is she talking about now? And then I read she killed herself, and I said, Lord God, this child killed herself. Jeffrey Epstein was a terrible man. If there are any men that were involved in this sex trafficking on his island, they need to go to jail. I don't care who it is. I have daughters. And even though I don't believe in the death penalty, I do believe in the father's retribution. Anybody touch one of my daughters and granddaughters, you better never let me find him. He ain't got to worry about the police. He'll have to worry about me. So, but the Democrats are doing this, y'all, all for political purposes. They don't care anything about those women. They don't care anything. If they did, they would have done this when Joe Biden was in office. They don't care anything about these women. This is what I want you to understand. The Democrats are not doing this for altruistic purposes. They're doing it to try to deflect attention from the fact they got their clocks cleaned in this government shutdown thing. They're trying to divert attention from the fact that they would prefer, they would shut down these, they will shut down this government to give illegal immigrants free Obamacare, free medical services. They want to divert from the fact that illegal immigrants have so much power in the Democratic Party that they can order the Democratic Party to shut down the government of the most powerful nation in the world. The most powerful nation in the history of the world. Illegals, non-citizens, have garnered that much power in the United States of America that they can take away our government from us. They can demand money from us. They can demand that we do things for them. They can riot in our streets. They can shut down our ICE facilities. They can wave their flag while they're beating up our law enforcement officers. And the Democrats, they're fighting with them. They want to divert from the fact that you saw that. And then they want you to say, look over here, look over here, look over here. Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. Take this with you. If Donald Trump was at all involved in any type of illegality with Jeffrey Epstein, his behind would be in jail. They only had 95 charges on him. They'd have put one more. They put trumped up charges on him for 4 years. Pardon the pun. Do you think they would have had a problem putting a real pedophile charge on him? It's a sideshow. Smoke and mirrors. The Democrats, again, are a party of perverts, liars, psychopaths, anti-Christian bigots, thugs, hoes, rappers. Now they're doing the liar, okay? Liar, liar, liar. How do you know the Democrats lying? Lips are moving. The whole Jeffrey Epstein thing is that. Lips are moving. They're lying. Again, if Donald Trump had done anything illegal, Joe Biden would have walked up to Mar-a-Lago. He would have cuffed Donald Trump himself. Well, he would have somebody grab him and hold him down, then he would have cuffed him. Threw him in the back of the paddy wagon, held a press conference while he did it, and would have looped it on TV all day long for the next 4 years. The liberal press would have danced in the streets like David danced. He became king of Israel. Oh, they would have danced. It's nothing there, y'all. Just a lot of embarrassing information. It's going to distract you for about a week from the real topics at hand. And there's the Democratic Party in their failed attempt to crash this government, and their failed attempt of illegals in this nation to coerce and demand money from the citizens of the United States of America. So we're going to look at these files. We're going to talk about them. But don't you get distracted. And if you try to get distracted, I'm going to be here to wake you up. I hope I did you some good here today. So join me again for another edition of the Vince Everett Ellison Show. All right, friends, Vince Everett Ellison is here. I want you to go to my website. And on my website, you're going to see a lot of great stuff, man. You're going to see that we got T-shirts, we got caps. You got my books, my documentaries. You got all kinds of stuff on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Go there. We're dropping new T-shirts. We're dropping new merchandise. My new book, The End of Tolerance, is there. The End of Tolerance. Make sure you get it. Make it #1. If you got my first 3, get The End of Tolerance. It's just as good. And it's telling us we have to end our tolerance with these leftists, these Democrats. We can no longer allow them to sexually groom our children. We can no longer allow them to castrate little boys and call them little girls, run God out of the public square, take away our guns, take away our sovereignty. No longer allow it. So go on VinceSpeaksTruth.com. That is VinceSpeaksTruth.com. Hit merchandise. You'll see the t-shirts. You'll see the caps. You'll see the books. You'll see the documentaries. You'll see it all. And let's keep this ball rolling. God bless you.